Hello and welcome to my fourth and final Far From the Madding Crowd review, at least until they make a new one in 10 or 15 years or so. It's time to talk about the most recent adaptation of Thomas Hardy's classic novel about a beautiful woman, her farm, and her three very different suitors. This one came out in 2015, was directed by Thomas Vinterberg with a screenplay by David Nichols, and stars Carey Mulligan as Bathsheba. Nope, sorry, it's Bathsheba again. Bathsheba Everdeen. Matthias Schoenaerts. That's quite a name you got there, buddy. As Gabriel Oak, Michael Sheen as Farmer Boldwood, and Tom Sturridge as Sergeant Troy. I was a little wary going into this one because I generally prefer the older, more fleshed out miniseries adaptations of classic novels as opposed to the newer theatrical releases. But I also thought there was something very appealing about the ads and the clips and photos that I saw, and knowing that this version existed and wanting to see it was a factor that made me want to read the book sooner rather than later. So I was also looking forward to it, and the verdict is, I liked it. First off, let's talk about the DVD cover, because I've done that with the other two versions. I have found the DVD covers for at least this story to be kind of a litmus test for what the adaptation chooses to focus on. The 67 cover featured Bathsheba and Troy, the 98 cover had Bathsheba with all three men, 2015 has this sunny romantic image of Bathsheba and Gabriel gazing into each other's eyes, so that's a pretty strong indication that this adaptation's going to go in a new direction, one which I heartily approve of. This version has two major emphases: Bathsheba as an independent woman, and the relationship between her and Oak over time. I found Carey Mulligan's Bathsheba Everdeen, or I should be calling her Bathsheba, shouldn't I, to be the most likable compared to the other versions. That could be because the script cuts out or modifies some of the things the character does in the book that cast her in a more negative light. This Bathsheba is confident and firm in her independence, but she doesn't seem as vain or as superior. She's a very modern woman who literally takes the reins, who's not afraid to get dirty, who refuses to beg or break down. Did they make her too modern to be believable in this time period? Maybe, but this is a movie made for the 21st century. She also has one of the most colorful wardrobes I've ever seen in a period drama, with a different costume in just about every scene. I did have my doubts about whether the cut and color of her gowns was authentic to Victorian styles, but in the extras, the costume designer does say that the wardrobe was inspired by original clothes from the era, so there you go. As for the relationship between Bathsheba and Gabriel Oak, they have so many more scenes together. This one really delivers on the slow-burning romance. The book does give them a couple little moments here and there, but the number of romantic scenes here is quadrupled, and there are several moments when they're standing very close together in a low-lit space, and you're just like, I know you're not supposed to kiss right now, but are you gonna kiss? That kind of thing did not work for me when they threw it in Pride and Prejudice and Jane Eyre, because the timing and context of it within those stories just felt off to me. But for some reason, I accepted it here. I was very happy with Matthias Schoenaerts' performance. His Gabriel is like a paragon of quiet masculinity, good sense, loyalty. It's extremely attractive. I have said before, though, that part of me wants to root for Farmer Boldwood as well, and I feel that way again here. I really liked Michael Sheen's Boldwood. He plays him as a reserved, slightly older gentleman farmer who's very sympathetic. My one criticism is not about his performance, but that the script cut out a couple pretty important Boldwood scenes that show his stability unraveling. Without those scenes, the character is not nearly as desperate and intense in the climactic moment, so that the drastic action he takes is a little unprecedented. But I did like Sheen's portrayal of the character. Sergeant Troy, on the other hand, did Tom Sturridge do a good job as Sergeant Troy? I don't know, he was still Sergeant Troy. I didn't like him in the book, and with each film version, I like him even less. Seeing that personality played out over and over again just reinforces how much I detest him. This Troy seems a little younger than the others, a little less worldly wise perhaps. Actually, his behavior was kind of childish in a couple scenes. While he's still the sexy character, the vibe I got from him was more creepy, and that's especially after one thing that they threw in there that was kind of shocking, that made me wish that Bathsheba punched him in the face. I'll give him this. Where Fanny Robin is concerned, he's not as much of a jerk. But other than that, I just... ugh. As an adaptation of the Thomas Hardy novel, it's not perfect. I've hinted that there was some tweaking done that slightly modified characters or situations for better or for worse, and a couple things were cut that would have been helpful in linking parts of the story together. My mom observed that because she just watched the other two versions with me, she did not read the book, she just saw the other two versions, she knew what was missing from this one, and so she found herself mentally filling in the gaps that were left in the story that would otherwise have left her with questions. So that is a problem. I agree with her that I was also filling in gaps, like, this character knows about this because this thing happened. But I don't know that because they showed it. I know it because I read the book, because I saw the other versions. And without those little links between one thing and another, you get apparent plot holes, I'd say. And that's not something you want in your movie. But while the story is abbreviated, that didn't bother me as much as I expected it would, because since it's shorter, the parts of the story that kind of drive me crazy, that I felt kind of tired of in the last version, aren't as drawn out here, so I enjoy it more. Even with its modernity and its brevity and the one or two things that I just flat out didn't like, this was probably the most consistently enjoyable of the three movies for me. I like these versions of the main characters a lot, except for Troy, but I wasn't gonna like him anyway. I like the vibrancy of this one. It's colorful, it's beautifully photographed and scored, and there's just something about it that feels alive. So, surprise! I liked it! I liked the short, shiny new one. Who'da thunk it? If you've seen it, I'm curious to know what you think of it. So let me know if you like in the comments below. And I will see you next time. I already know what the next video is going to be. Actually, I think I know what the next two videos are going to be. So this is a big change from the last month where I kept finding myself towards the end of the week just feeling like, I don't know what to talk about. So I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye!